I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Jazz Willie, and welcome to the Comic Book Corner. Look, we all love Batman, the billionaire playboy who puts on pajamas and fights crime. He goes up against supervillains, and if you take away the suit, the belt, or the gizmos, he's still just a man. I've seen a lot of estimates on how much money Bruce Wayne must spend on such a venture. By even the most conservative of estimates, that's $5,600,750,000 a year just for Batman. That's not counting Nightwing, the Robins, Batgirl, Batwoman, and his other associates. If you factor them in, and his other associations like his co-funding of the Outsiders and the Teen Titans, not to mention the Justice League, that's closer to $9,857,715,326.83. Forget where Bruce even got all that money. Yeah, his family was rich, but they can't be so rich that Bruce can afford to throw that money around like it came out of his couch cushions. Ever since I read some trashy spy novel in the 90s, I just assumed some black ops organizations like Checkmate or the DO occasionally gave the Wayne Foundation a certain amount of money. Or maybe those anti-crime initiatives that you always see Bruce going to fundraisers for is just his code word for Batman. I mean, that would make all of Batman's activities tax deductible. Plus, there's a certain amount of delicious irony to it. Do you know who some of the biggest donors to the Wayne Foundation are? Harvey Dent, Oswald Cobblepot, and Tommy Elliott. That's right, Two-Face, the Penguin, and Hush could be funding Batman. My point is, for all the money Bruce Wayne puts into being Batman, he gets very little return. At best, he maintains a status quo with no sign of detente on the horizon. But if his goal is to fight crime in Gotham City, there are much more effective ways to do that. Just for argument's sake, let's say that Bruce has all the money the comics say he does. And let's just say that Gotham is comparable to New York City. It has 8.7 million people, and between a third and a quarter of them are living in poverty. It has been shown that cities with properly funded after-school programs have a significant decrease in crime. For just the amount of money Batsy spends on rocket-powered cars in a year, he could fund after-school programs in Gotham City for several years. It's been shown the higher an area's average disposable income, the lower the rate of violent crime. Even if whatever state Gotham is in decides not to raise the minimum wage, there's something Bruce can do to help here. The average American spends between 10 and 30% of their income on health care. Bruce could take his money and buy health insurance for every Wayne Enterprises employee and contractor, which, if you believe the comics, is about 1/4 of the city. Hell, he owns an insurance company. He could flat out give every Gotham citizen under the age of 18 or who was enrolled in Gotham City College health insurance for free, which would mean about 90% of the city's population would be covered. Overall, healthcare costs in Gotham would plummet. After all, they're no longer inflating the costs of other people's services in order to cover the uninsured. Since he's giving the money to himself, Bruce is making money off the whole thing as well, especially the patients at Dr. Thomas Wayne Memorial Hospital. Plus, if you give an impoverished person money, they're going to spend it. They'll use it for rent, or a car, or paying down debt. All those impoverished people will now suddenly be middle class. They'll want to move to a better home. And who owns most of the middle and upper class housing in Gotham City? Wayne Enterprises. So by doing that, Bruce will ultimately make more money. Hey Matt, I know you're watching this and I know what you're gonna say. What about somebody like the Joker? Well, people like the Joker or the Riddler wouldn't be a problem if we had a mental health system better capable of treating them. With hospitals having this new influx of money, they'd be able to do just that. You could get people treatment for trauma and PTSD before they became supervillains in the first place, instead of locking them up after they committed a horrible crime. With lower crime rates, better trained staff, and more funding, you could recruit better doctors and HR people at Arkham Asylum. Instead of, whatever numbnut looked at Dr. Harleen Quinzel's obvious crush on the Joker and didn't raise a single red flag. After you did all of that, you'd still have money left over to fund initiatives within the GCPD to better handle emotionally disturbed persons and better equip anti-terror units. Why allow one uncertified person to operate within the city, answerable to no one, when you have an entire squadron of Batmen that answer to the people of Gotham City? Not to mention all these things Bruce was doing would bring jobs, which would raise his profit margin. This would increase the amount of money he could spend, which would mean more improvements. At least in the short run. Bruce is smart enough to make it last a long time. I mean, he hacked alien technology to make the Omax. Turning the Wayne Foundation into a tool to make Gotham City not a hellhole isn't inconceivable. In fact, there's only one reason I can think of he's never tried this. He's aged physically since Crime Alley, but emotionally he's stuck. He's still an 8-year-old watching his parents get killed. He's trying to solve the city's problems the way an 8-year-old would. With his fists. A hero needs to be more high-minded than that. And that's the tragedy of it all. There's something the world's greatest detective does not see. Bruce Wayne isn't the hero Batman wants. But he's the hero Gotham needs right now. There's an old internet meme. Always be yourself, unless you can be Batman. Always be Batman. I think the people who say that don't understand the character, but it's not hard to see why. Because the cost of being Batman isn't that $6 billion or so that I mentioned. It's something far more human. Bruce Wayne is only human in the strictest sense of the word. There's more to humanity than that. One has to only look at the two people Batman calls his friends in order to prove it. Clark Kent wasn't born on Earth. He metabolizes sunlight. He can fly, shoot lasers from his eyes, and bends train tracks as easily as you and I could a paperclip. Diana of Themyscira can tear a tank apart with her bare hands, dodge bullets, and on the off chance she does get injured, can recover from just about anything. Not to mention that she is a literal demigoddess. When Superman and Wonder Woman finish superheroing for the day, they go home, they spend some time with their friends and family, they watch TV, they go to ball games. The lives they live matter to them. The people they choose to spend their time with matter to them. But Batman is different. Bruce Wayne has never gone bowling. He didn't go to his senior prom. He hasn't had a birthday since he was 8 years old. He's never had a friend he wasn't suspicious of, at least on some level, in his entire life. He doesn't stay home on Friday nights and watch movies. He's never slept in on Sundays just to hear the bird chirp. There is no joy in his life. Bruce Wayne does not have friends. He goes out of his way to avoid them unless he's using them as a means to an end. If they know something he doesn't and he wants to know it. If they have something Batman needs to stop who's hassling him this week, then he's their very best pal. Until the next case, and then he forgets he ever knew them. The cost of being Batman is the humanity of Bruce Wayne. For some reason, I'm reminded of a Justice League story where the team has to go save Mr. Mix's Spitlick dimension during one of those alignments. Mix's Spitlick tells them that in order to get there, all they have to do is say their names backwards. Superman tries saying Namrapus, Superman backwards. Nothing happens. So then he tries Laylac, Kal-El backwards. No dice. So then he tries saying Tank Kralk, Clark Kent backwards. Poof! He's there. And, of course, Bruce gets the same results from grunting Namtab. In fact, at least in the modern era, I can only think of one instance where we saw even a glimmer of the humanity of Bruce Wayne, rather than Batman being in charge. Bruce goes out with some hottie of the week just to keep up the Playboy image. They end up going to the Halley Brothers circus. Bruce sees Dick Grayson, a kid about the same age Bruce was when he lost his parents. The flying Graysons fall to their deaths right in front of them, and it's clear that this was no accident. Bruce gives Dick a home, a place to heal. He gives him a chance to capture his parents' killer. He gave Dick some sort of closure before the trauma really set in. He gave him the choice to be a hero or just live at Wayne Manor and have a normal life. He didn't force Dick into it. Dick came to that decision on his own. He took it not out of guilt or to fill some hole in himself. Dick Grayson became Robin and later Nightwing because he knew he had it in him to make a difference, and he thought it would be morally wrong not to. But it was still his decision. Nightwing will always owe Batman a huge debt, but he's his own kind of hero. He's not Batman, but the type of person he became had nothing to do with Batman. If you believe Frank Miller and quite a few other DC writers, Nightwing is the last thing Batman would have wanted. Nightwing questions Batman. He does things his own way. And sometimes his way means knowing when something isn't in his wheelhouse, but knowing the right person to call. It means trusting them to do their job. And not being a manipulative, micromanaging prick. But as I said, he's not Batman. No, Batman wanted Dick Grayson child soldier. He wanted a sidekick who followed orders without question, a squire to follow the Dark Knight on his crusade of inevitable suicide. Or maybe someone to continue the quest and pick up the cowl when the inevitable happened. It was Bruce Wayne who brought out Dick's compassion. The first lesson Bruce taught him was, you can trust someone. Not everyone, but there are good people out there and you can count on them. All of this made Nightwing, in every conceivable way, a better hero than Batman could ever hope to be. Maybe that's enough for Batman. Maybe for him, life and ethics is that transactional. Or worse, one long episode of Did I Get What I Paid For? Only when the whip cracks and the verdict screen comes up, as long as Dick, Tim, Barbara, Stephanie, and Damian aren't so traumatized that they can't function, he's perfectly fine giving it a yes! If that's the case, the internet is wrong. Don't be Batman, f that guy. Life should be lived, not hidden from. Life isn't some equation to be tallied and calculated. Life is just life. Live it. Look, I know Batman would never use social media. Even if he did, he'd be the last person to want imitators. His one post would be this: always be yourself, unless you can be Nightwing. Always be Nightwing. Because Dick Grayson is a stand-up guy. He pays his debts. He pays it every single night by not being Batman. I'm Jess Willie, and this has been the Comic Book Corner.